Good evening, comrades. Good evening, comrade Malik.
Yes.
Do you hear me?
Very well. It's like as if you're close.
Thank you very much. It's just a bit unfortunate because the question of the network and the load shedding will probably derail us. But my view was that this very topic of cooperatives being a model that could assist us in facing the challenges of the most unequal society was quite very relevant. I would probably, on the very approach that you have taken, it's one very interesting topic, but there is also another interesting topic, probably for another day, my leader. I came across a posting of a very prominent commissar, MKM, dealing with the question of triple BEE, and then expanding on the question of BEE as a racially motivated model. Now, I don't know, because that area, I think it's a very interesting area if we may find a well-conversant, probably leader who may lead us in that regard. But I'm just having a qualm on the question of the network that may probably disturb us. It's just what I'm trying to throw in the house. May I pause there, my leader? Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, as always. Anybody else with ideas, comments? Just raise your voice and grab the mic and go ahead. Are we alive?
On my side, I'm still looking for this other comrade I know those years assist with the question around what I raised last week around the relevance of the Freedom Charter at this point.
Okay.
But I'm still trying. I'm not so solid enough to present it, though I was part of the collective those years. But new developments have came because if I look at the constitution of the country, we see like a lot of aspects of the Freedom Charter have been put as a constitutional imperative, and this person is part of the presidential economic advisory group. But the question is like, I can work with him because he can give more on what's happening in real terms that side. But he have not joined MK, but he is an ANC member of standing from those years. And he have established the School of Leadership at UCT. He's like the guy who established it. His name is Alan Hirsch. So I'm trying to contact him to speak about it because many people have asked me to republish that particular article and see how comrades think about it, because it's more or less the question around whether the Freedom Charter is a socialist document or not, or whether it is a liberal bourgeois document or not. It's like on those two edges, One person can argue quite strongly that it's actually it's meant for liberal bourgeois. On the other side, you can actually argue now, like, it got a definite deep socialist tendency within it, that about the land, that about the whole question around the land, which I think EFF tried to manipulate that story of the Freedom Charter. In fact, that's why they have adopted the Freedom Charter as their guiding document. And I wanted him to do, and then look at how we differ fundamentally on EFF on a very same topic. So I'm trying to, I just say it's in the background, and I'm trying to get people.
No, that's fair. That's fair, I understand. Welcome to those comrades who joined us late. Just to give you a quick update, as we know that the country is suffering from widespread load shedding. So a number of our comrades are not able to dial in, including the guest speaker. So now what you've decided to do, because though we have this presentation, but we can't present it, it's not ours. You see, so it's always better to actually have the expert or someone who's prepared it to actually present the document themselves than us trying to do guesswork. So now what you have decided to do is to actually just have a freestyle discussion in the circumstances that people are not able to log in. Some they keep sending me messages on my private mobile to actually say that they are struggling, and I keep sending them the link, but they're just struggling. And that's because normally they will use their computers. Now they're trying to use their phones, and some of them obviously they've got some of these apps on their computers, not on their phone, and it's a little bit of a challenge to actually do the migration in that sense. Yeah. So please forgive us if you get a sense that there is no structured topic. It is because we've decided to do a freestyle. From the floor, we'll take a topic that we want to talk about. And of two now, there is a suggestion of a little bit of discussion around triple BEE. And then, of course, there is a follow-up question on something on, the Freedom Charter. Is there anyone who has got a different idea as to what do we want to do with this time? Any other idea? Okay.
Maybe we should just call it a day if other people cannot, because we are only about 6 here, including you.
Yes, I was actually about to ask that direct question as to whether we should probably just can this session today and have a proper session next time, and hopefully after elections we will have electricity, because it's such a worrying thing that effectively we don't have any electricity at the moment, and people are struggling. Is there any other idea? I mean, is there anyone who's opposing or agreeing to that idea?
Leadership, I think it's, given the circumstances, it's proper that we call it a day, but then some of the ideas that have been mooted ought to be worked upon probably after Colonel gave us his input on the cooperatives. The subsequent topics could, of course, probably be lined up as requested or as suggested. I would agree, of course, then with the idea that the 6 of us probably, I think it's a good idea. Thanks, my leader.
Thank you very much, sir. Anybody?
Commissioner, it also suggests that we have to prepare two topics, or even if it's the same topic, prepared by two people, A and B, just in case were confronted with one person having problems, were able to move forward. But generally, we're going to continuously have this problem, because I see now we're living in Lagos. Electricity just goes and frustrates the entire world. It's no longer something that it's 14 years down the line with this ESCOM inefficiencies, and so yes, I agree, but I also thinking that maybe we should look into preparing too, in the event something goes wrong, the other one step up immediately if they are in the house. Thanks, Jay.
No, thanks, Lux. Look, I sort of think that if we had more people who were interested, we would have continued in any case, right? Because sometimes it actually helps to talk from the heart, on the issues that we actually understand. So we would have still benefited from that. Now it's just that we are actually literally quite few today. It looks like the majority of people are struggling. So I think on that basis, I should also just thank everybody else for their time here today, and then we simply just cancel this because of the load shedding problems that people have, and then we will have a session again this time next week. Hopefully, as I say, maybe the gods at ESCOM will have mercy on us because the elections will be over. So then at least we should be able to have a bit of a life, of some sort after that.
And don't forget about you, Chief. You got a lot of topics at the back of your mind that you can just pull out.
Yeah.
Especially on the psychological side, all those things that we usually take for granted.
Yeah. Look,
because, for example, it took my daughter to say that I am suffering from depression. She's a kind of psychologist. She didn't do a practicals, but she have completed a master's. And she said, no, and I didn't realize it. But then when she showed me the red flags, I said, oh,
yeah.
I'm sure it was in August.
Yeah. Look, there are a whole lot of things we can actually talk about. I mean, we mentioned, for instance, the comrade on the article on Triple B. Of course, I haven't seen that article, but I know he's actually he's a beautiful mind. Now, to actually have, maybe one of the things that we can do is just to actually ask him to actually just present something on that, and we can engage him. Now, you are saying his angle is that the triple PE is for what? Is for white people or what?
He's saying it is a racially motivated sort of way of probably do, or rather segregate whites from achieving or making further strides on the economic front. But to do justice, I'll search for this his input and then post it to the group.
Yes.
And it interesting if we also invite Mujake. He's a very interesting mind. For this, when I came across it, I said, wow, I frowned really. And for me, I thought he might have been, as a commissar, he might be provocative to try and generate, or rather get more people there's idea talking about around this thing. But as he go along, I noticed he was getting very serious about it. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting topic. Yes.
No, definitely. We would be able
It will be
to.
very interesting to hear that, because this is what AfriForum is saying.
Exactly.
And I also say slightly that if it's continual, it begins to reverse the same apartheid. But if whites continues to be problematic on the economic side, it remains there perpetually, and obviously it looks like apartheid in reverse, but it's not. Until that we get some cooperation from whites in terms of sharing, opening up economy, because all these laws were meant to persuade them to open up, because they never wanted to open up, and they cry foul. It's the same as the issue of land. They don't want to give land, and when you talk about another section, they say no, other sections were still in place and they're okay. But we still don't have access to land. So it's all those things. Let's hear what he says. If we could also juxtapose that against the MFMA, PFMA, because they are anti-developmental, those two, and they're not assisting us in acquiring anything from the state because they want tender. They promote tender system instead, and a certainty. And we all know what it means, that tender system. It has nothing to do with empowerment. Whether it's set aside on the economy, those things that were set would be for vulnerable groups. They can't access them because the problem is there has to be through databases and all. The state can't even have partnerships. If you on your own activate something or initiate something around economic development, you can't implement it. The state must take that to tender, even if it's your own initiative. They hardly take an initiative and say, this is Malik's program, and therefore giving it to them. They don't do that.
Look, for me, when it comes to the whole idea of the BEE, I sort of think it's a good tool that has been badly implemented, like most tools that we actually have managed to actually create. The reality is that the Afrikaners themselves, they've got white privilege today because they've benefited from it. I mean, the Afrikaners, they did not just go and pray to uplift each other.
Yeah.
They did something, they had all this intervention. It's just that for them, they had a better idea on how to restructure a country than we have.
Yeah.
If you look at what the Afrikaner did since they took over, they effectively came up with a plan not only for business but for society. They used the churches to help them to actually reinforce a certain narrative about racial superiority and everything else, and of course, most importantly, about the ethics of apartheid, and the morality of apartheid. So they use that to the fullest extent of religiosity. And then on the other side, they use culture, sports, and all various elements of culture to reinforce again the same element, the same idea, same ideology. And they went on to universities, and today we complain about how the humanities are dying and no one is using them. But the Afrikaners use them, because they knew what type of society they wanted. They knew that society is not going to fall from the heavens. They're not going to do a song and dance about it. They had to work hard for it. They chose.
Yes, Malik, you are correct.
Yeah.
You're correct, Commissar, because if you look at what happened to us, we had the elephant, what, smarts, we had so many of us, and none of them have ever built a school. None of these black people who benefited from the BEE ever reinvested that money into society. We didn't know what we want to achieve. We somebody would tell you that I think I heard from you, Malik, saying we administered government as it was. We just conform and continued. And this is the problem with black people. In fact, you rather buy a boat and go and try to to ride in one of the dams. I know some of these brothers who, four of them who fell in Hartebees Street and Hartebees Dam and drowned after drinking on the boat and so on. They had money. One of them was my close acquaintances. They all drowned and died. So this is the type of what the BEE or our transformation agenda was, because it was not saying anything about society. It was saying it was talking to individuals, and they quickly go and get money. I was Martin Gonyama, Bonke, you name them with this BEE. Never helped society, never contributed to education, never contributed to some sort of culture, not even buying one book for one child.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only culture was, yeah, you're quite right.
I think the key here is, as indicated by Comrade Malik, how to administer, how to manage, how to implement this triple B for what objective. That's where we lost the boat. That's where we missed the boat. Because you see, comrades, if truly we are serious about transforming this country into what it ought to be, you look back on some of the revolution, be it the Russian, the French, the Chinese revolution, how they, as a form of redress, the question of land, how was that land usurped from the landlords, for what purpose? That's why we're missing the whole thing, because triple B, in my understanding, if correctly implemented, it was meant to uplift or as a form of redress. Now, that's not the case. So to say it is a racially based kind of model to undermine whites, as of course the AfriForum is saying, coming from our own commissars, I really am very interested to have his view and, elaborate from the point of view that he's coming from.
No, definitely. What I'll do, I'm going to reach out either tonight to him or tomorrow sometime, and then we'll actually just organize maybe a sort of a panel, and we can actually just get to understand. Now, the beauty of what we fought for, is that we wanted diverse ideas. Apartheid wanted one idea, white supremacy, and anyone who was opposed to that had to be put on the skewer. Now, for us, the diversity of ideas, that's actually what makes us, So we wouldn't fray him for being different, but we will seek to actually understand, and maybe he sees something we don't, or most of us don't, and actually be able to actually learn from all of that and actually see. But in the main, I look at various models on this thing. I look at the Asians and the Malaysians, because Malaysians had a similar problem, where after the Malaysian independence, one of the problems they had was that the Chinese actually owned most of Malaysia, and your ethnic Malays, they had nothing. Now, Mahatma, who was effectively a long-term prime minister, they grappled exactly with the same problems. But today, I can tell you that the Chinese are still as influential as before. So there has been some gains, yes, but change is stubborn. Change is stubborn. And it's not stubborn. It's not only stubborn because there is opposition from the other side from it. We just need, I think, as a people at least, clarify what is it that we seek to achieve. from all these type of policies and processes, and understand that sometimes there is a big difference between our expectations and reality. I mean, today, if I were to be controversial, today we talk big about land. I understand the sentimental aspect of land. I understand the historical value and historical aspect of land. But the issue is that people, the way I listen to them is, it's as if once they get land, they each get their 5 hectares or 10 hectares of land, and the implements to actually work the land. Now all of a sudden everyone is going to be rich and out of poverty. So for me this is a problem, and some actually think they will actually be rich from it. And when you ask them and say, okay, my friend, where do you buy your vegetables? I buy them from Checkers, Fruit and Veg. And I say, where do they buy them from? They buy them from the farmers. Okay. Now, who do you think is rich, Fruit and Veg and the farmer? Who's making more money? The reality is that the guy and the farmer who's doing the production is actually getting probably 1 rand for his cabbage, but you don't buy the cabbage for 100 rands. You're probably getting it like for 10 rands, something like this. So it's the people who are in the middle of it who are actually making more money out of the land. So go and get the land, but don't have a misconception that all of a sudden you're going to be a multimillionaire, because you will not find, literally not in today's economies, you will not find property owners as the biggest rich people. They are not poor, make no mistake. And this is not the issue. But all I'm saying is that we need to contextualize all of these things and actually understand. I mean, someone who's as lazy as me, who can't even change a bulb, or remove garden refuse at home without my wife screaming at me. Now, he's going to be stuck with the land. I don't want it, because, I mean, what am I going to do with it? I'm a city guy. I mean, I have the villages if I want. There is plenty land there. No one is using it. It's sitting there in the villages. So this idea of us feeling will always be better when we get what we do not have and forget about what we have, it's something that we also need to change, because it's not only futile and unproductive, but it's make us very unhappy as people, because we always want. We hardly appreciate the little we have and actually make it worth what we have. And that's another topic, But of course, my view is that we should actually invite him and have some discussions there, and we can actually hear what his view is, and then we effectively take it from there. And again, Ish, on your Freedom Charter thing, topic, we can always get someone. I mean, like, you don't have to carry that cross alone. We can always get someone. Now, the reality here about the Freedom Charter is that Freedom Charter should be a living document. It shouldn't be like the Bible or the Quran, or the Torah. Now, those, they tend to be like stuck in time. They hardly progress beyond the 2,000 years, 1,500 years, or 5,000 years that they were written in. Now, this one is a scientific document produced by social engineers, activists. It should live on. Now, what does that mean? It actually means that it should actually continuously evolve. It can't be stuck, at the time that it was developing, because remember, people, when they actually come up with all these ideas, they come with the ideas based on their lived experience. You see, I mean, they come with their lived experience. Now, at that stage, it was okay to say people shall share in the economy of the country, which is good. It must happen. But they didn't take it a step further to actually say, well, people must also work too. And that is really because the bulk of the economy at that stage was mining, mineral rights, and possibly, the ownership of that meant a big deal in wealth. But today, the ownership of mineral rights is with the state. So now, when talking about people shall share in the economy, does that mean, as some people, will argue that we need to nationalize the financial services? And when I ask them, okay, you want to nationalize FNB, good. What is it that you're going to get from FNB? Because FNB is not even the biggest financier of commerce. The biggest financier of commerce is effectively the public sector, is the PIC, is IDC, and all the state institutions. You see, now these ones, they have our bonds, they have our cars and credit cards. You're gonna nationalize those, and then what? You see, and that's because people they're just focusing on all the slogans. They don't actually peel them to actually understand what these slogans actually mean. So these are the type of things that we need to understand. Now, in the Freedom Charter, one of the things that I would have loved, that it was actually added, because now it would have demystified a very simple clause, the issue of sharing in the economy, that actually people must also work for it. No one should actually just be sitting there and just waking up in the morning and say, oh yeah, no, I just want to share, I want my share. Right? They must be able to get an opportunity to get what they want. So all we need is a level playing field, and taking of course, into account all the problems we have with our past and everything else. But must we get everything for free and we mustn't work for it? I don't think so, as other people actually think. So those are the things that I think if we have a discussion on the Freedom Charter, we need to have all those type of issues and see where they take us. Okay.
Just to say that thing when you mention about the land, it just reminds me about just after we came back. Remember, a lot of farms were given to people, and in 2 years' time, there was nothing on the farms. The state actually gave people farms. And if we look back into exile, especially in Angola, we had so many farms given to us by the Angolan government, but there were few of us who were actually from the rural area. So the farms turned out to be detention camps. When you go to the farm, it's punishment, it's to develop, to get our own food, because the whole thing was that we should get our own food. We must stop depending on this tin stuff from the Swedish government and things like that, things that could nourish our bodies to go and fight at home. That was a whole noble idea, but then it turned out to be detention camps. We send you to the farm, you have done something wrong. There's nothing, it became so bad that the farm was known for that.
Yeah.
That was an antidote.
Yeah. Again, it's a psychological issue. It's a thinking issue. You look at the way we look down upon our people in the rural areas, and you look at how the English, who are not known to be big farming communities in South Africa, at least. Some of them will actually look down upon the Afrikaners for the Afrikaners' love of land and all those type of things. There is an element of class. Now, until you free the people's minds, people should actually understand that there is a lot of value in hard work. Farming is hard work. Farming is a lot of hard work. So people should be able to understand all of this. You're talking about farms. I'm like, you go there, and most of the things that you'll actually see are farming most of the time. Pigs will be the first choice because, that's but who actually wants to be associated with that instead of being seen as a wonderful commander, commissar somewhere in a base, earning the respect of his peers. But that's a different world. But even in our world today, one of the things that we need to do is to be able to reframe. We need to think differently, break the chains in our heads, and actually understand that it's only us who will be able to make the society we want. What the ANC and the movement in general, I mean, the alliance, what they've done is to give us an opportunity to be the best that we can. All we need them to do is to actually continue leveling the playing field and uplifting the small man among us so that at least we can achieve more. But we shouldn't burden the state by wanting to be billionaires and millionaires, because if we make that a state job, then everybody will have a right to demand exactly the same, and that's where corruption comes in. So that's it. Okay, Shoks, you wanted to say something? Is there anybody else who wants to say something? There was already a proposal that we call it quits for lack of, our speaker, and of course.
Yes, certainly. I think even we should have, of course, be long gone out of the room, but as what you call the free for all, the freestyle, what you call that we have adopted, it's being much more interesting. I think we should reserve and then probably hope that upon the task that you are given, Comrade Malik, to try and get the relevant comrades to come and assist, probably.
Yeah, we will do so. Now, what we were hoping to do starting next week is to go more heavy on MK related issues. I mean, not only welfare issues, but we have a tentative conference that's coming, so we need to look at those policies and actually just start talking about all those type of issues. And of course, majority of our comrades, they are in the security cluster, and one of them, we had asked him to prepare something just to launch our MK month, so to speak, next week, to focus on security related aspects, of our state. So we will probably look at that next week, and then of course we'll find ways of tweaking some of these ideas, we've been given here today, to actually fall in line with the general theme, as we build towards the conference and we're moving towards the 60th anniversary of MK. So that's that. But we'll appreciate more contribution, of course, in any ways. But thank you very much. Unless there is a further comment or question or violent opposition to us leaving today. But I think in the absence of violence, then we can probably call it quits, no?
Okay.
Thank you very much, comrades.
Thank you.
Good night and take care.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you. Stay safe. Remember your candles. You might as well invite your wives when you're lighting up your candles tonight. Make it more romantic at least. Make it mean something. Right?
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Thanks. Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.